Where are we at?
You tell me. I think everyone in the building knows more about this fight than I do, actually. Apparently it's done, it's signed, we've got a date, venue, we know how much we're getting. News to me, I don't know jack. I don't know anything. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not even training anymore now. I've stopped training. Sugar Hill's gone home. He went home in November, end of November. Andy Lee's gone home. I've packed up. I'm having a rest. I'm burnt out, you know, done too much. I need a rest mentally and physically and emotionally.
You got to spend a lot.
Big man ting. Shout out to my General Lewis Murph for coming through and sponsoring man on the Patreon. Now, to today's topic. We just heard there from Tyson. Oh, I'm not well. I'm sick. I need a rest. I've been doing nothing for 12 months and I'm knackered. So you heard the recording now. I played it again for you just in case you missed it the first time. But now on a serious note, listen, this ain't no joking matter. Yeah? If you heard my last video, it was somber. Sombra. B-R-E on the end, not the, sombra. Yeah? One of them ones. Sombra. It weren't no laughy thing. Because it's ain't a laughing matter now, so we got to get serious. Let me start this video again. Here we go. Tyson. Fury. We heard the recording. He is shook to bits. And I feel sorry for him, if the truth be known. I feel sad for the dude. The way he's sounding. And people say like, Hatman, you got Team LDBC Gasman giving it the, you know what Fury is like. No, we don't know what Fury is like. If we knew what Fury is like, the precedent wouldn't be set this time. I've been saying this multiples. Going over it and over it. This isn't normal behaviour. Yes, he's edgy. Yes, he can play these funny games. But in the main, we don't hear such specifics. We never heard about John Fury saying we need $400 million and Tyson coming out and saying I need a whole lot of money in my pocket before I do anything. Tyson coming out and saying it's not signed. We never heard any of this stuff in the... Fury was begging to get in there with David Haye. He was the one... In fact, that's a great example. If you, man, really care about deep psychological analysis, go and look at the David Haye build-up. Fury was begging to get in there with Haye. And yeah, things have changed somewhat. Fury's now a champion. Fury's on the up and up. But still, in my opinion, and even in Fury's opinion, this is... Fury to AJ is like the same as Fury to Haye at that time, if that makes sense. This is still the big one. AJ's got all the belts. He's like the number one guy, commercially speaking. So I'm kind of scratching my head thinking, why was it that Fury was begging to get in there with Haye? It was just a complete different vibe. And even the Wilder fight, exactly the same. And even the Vlad fight, exactly. I don't get it. People say, oh, well, it's quirky. Show me. Listen, send me links, please. Send me the links where Fury was so negative. Like, don't get me wrong. Has Fury made a throwaway quote in the past where he said something like, no, I've been drinking. Yeah, that would be in the mix kind of thing. We'd hear, for example, out of 5 interviews, in one of them, he may say, oh, I've been drinking, not training. For the bants. That's not what we're observing here. We've seen at every single stage negativity. And like the detail of the negativities is crazy as well. It's not just blow off comments. It's detailed stuff. And that's why I'm doing today's video in particular. So let's go through the quotes. For example, I'm not training. I've stopped and I've sent Sugar Hill home. And this is what's important. We mentioned about the details because in the past, well, what's changed today? It's the frequency and the detail. That's what, in my opinion, that's what gives something, that's what truth is. If someone says something once and never says it again and it doesn't really go into detail, then it's a throwaway comment and it's a joke, whatever. You can put that down to his quirky personality. When someone bangs on and on about something and gives details, it doesn't make sense. Like in my mind at least, the detail he's given, it might be a lie, but based on all the information we've got, I don't think it is. So let's get to what he actually said. In my mind, I've stopped training. I sent Sugar Hill home in November. And he goes on to say end of November. He backs the statement up. I sent Sugar Hill home in November, end of November. Why? What's the need? If it's fake news and he's just joking around, why? Where would he have got that? Why did he need to put the end of November in there? I sent Sugar Hill home in November. That's how a joke would go. Or, better yet, leave it as the first part. I sent Sugar Hill home. But to then say November, so you're giving it a date, and then to specify it as the end of November, from what I understand as a PhD in linguistics, he's drawing that from some sort of memory source, i.e. it happened. He's actually sent him home in November, end of November, and the way it flowed, he wasn't making it up on the spot, in my opinion. You don't normally see people start, unless you're obviously, if you're in a court and people are lying, you'll see them give detail, but in an interview, and he wasn't being questioned, the interviewer didn't say to him, Fury, when did you send him home? He's offering all these details. Now, it could be the case, well, in my opinion, it's a low probability, but it could be the case he's just trying to build this real dramatic story, but again, this isn't what we've seen in the past. We've heard little quirky bits. We haven't seen Fury build this whole narrative and story around it. Oh yeah, I'm not training at the moment. In my mind, the fight's off, and I sent Sugar Hill home in November. It was at the end of November. It don't make no sense. It doesn't. The detail and the frequency is the flag here, or are the red flags, which implies to me it's more truthful than not. This isn't a one-off. Every single... In fact, show me one interview. That's the better way of doing it. Show me one interview he's been positive. At any point. At any point. In the Gareth Davis one, well, if it doesn't happen, it won't be the fighters. It'll be C19. I haven't heard him be positive once. So for you to tell me that it's some big strategy, and that's the only... To be fair, that's the only way it can be. The only way Fury wants this fight is if it's a massive conspiracy and he's been... Literally, he planned this back in... You got to remember, he went on a Good Morning Britain tour after AJ versus Pulev. And he was negative then, saying, look, AJ's come out and he's proven he doesn't want the fight. Because he didn't call me out at the end. Setting the narrative. Now he's saying, or at one point he was saying that on Gareth Davis, well, the fighters want the fight. If it doesn't happen, it'll be C19 or some other circumstances, like the venue. He's all over the place. But he's all over the place in a consistent theme, negativity. There isn't one bit of evidence. So for this to be a big conspiracy and it's all mind games, YB. He's playing you. That's what some muppet said in my comments. YB, I thought you were smart. You've been caught. Fury's got you here. Fury's got me here. You best hope he's got me here. For the sake of all of us, for the sake of the sport, you better hope he's got me here. We're now 3 months and 1 week since AJ beat Pulev. And Fury's been doing interviews probably once a week. That's 12 interviews or so. Yeah, the amounts are relevant, but he's been doing interviews consistently since December 10th or December 12th. And all of them, every single one, there's not even one in there where he's saying, because often as well, Fury, when he's having a laugh, he might carry I've seen Fury carry on a narrative for 2 interviews back to back, and then eventually he'll say, it'll break, if that makes sense. He'll set a theme, and he'll break it on the 3rd one or on the 2nd one, and say, I was messing with you. And then the whole narrative, and then the whole vibe changes, and it's all positive again. This has just been bad. And what do we know about these people with bipolar and whatnot? You don't know how it ebbs and flows. When you've got this big thing in front of you, AJ, it's one thing. It's easy to bounce back when you're going in there with Vlad. It's easy to mentally bounce back quickly when you're having them little doubts against Wilder. In fact, against Wilder, Fury was able to stay on top the whole time. And against Hay, and against Vlad, if the truth be known. I remember in the Vlad build-up, I think there was a few times he was a bit negative. I think he was saying, look at my belly or whatever. But even that was in jest. He wasn't saying, I'm not training. And in my mind, as far as I'm concerned, the fight ain't on. He was just saying you're going to get beat by a big bubbly Don. So even that in itself, yeah, he was what's the word? Is it self-deprecating? Yeah, he was self-depreciating. Yeah, he was self-deprecating, but it was still from the point of view of, yeah, I'm big, yeah, I'm bubbly, but you're going to get whooped by a big and bubbly guy. Where's that attitude? Fury's saying I'm big and bubbly and drinking and ain't going to do squat. I guess you could argue, well, he did say that, he did say he will still beat AJ even when he's drinking. Yeah, that does look like habit. Maybe I'm being biased, but I don't know. I think it's odd. All we've heard from Fury has been, I can beat AJ if I've been drinking alcohol, regardless. That's the only positive word out of his mouth in the last 12 weeks. Oh, even if I am drunk, I can still beat AJ. That's it. Apart from that, name me one other line he's dropped. Joke or not, anything. Name me one other line that makes you, which looks forward to the fight. The only one I remember hearing in 12 weeks has been, even if I'm drunk, even if I'm drinking 12 cans, I'll still beat AJ. That's it. That's the only time he's put himself in the circle of the fight. The rest of the time, it's been he's been distancing himself from it. And I don't think it's some big massive conspiracy where he's trying to do this massive play for 3 months. No one does a play for that long. I know Fury fans would love to believe it. Oh, no, Fury's too deep for you. Fury's setting the scene and he planned this 4 months out. I mean, if he is, fair play to him. If he did plan this out to come on and be negative and at every opportunity shut people down and make it look as if it's not going to happen, fair play to him. And I'll put my hands in the air and say, you know what, I'm wrong. But I'm going with my gut on this one. And like how I started the video off, with the language is just too much. The specificity of it, yeah? The specificness. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not training. I sent Sugar Hill home at the end of November. That's drawing on memory. I think he did. And never mind just that, what he's saying there. He then goes on to say, and I sent Andy Lee home as well. More detail. When someone drops a joke normally, when you have a joke, it's normally, you drop the punchline and that's that. For example, you'd say, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not even training for this fight. That's how punchlines normally go. When you're morbidly, when it's not a joke, and you're in the doctor's office, you know what, psychiatrist, as far as I'm concerned, I'm too shook to fight AJ, and I even sent Sugar Hill home in November. It was actually the end of November, and I sent Andy Lee home. All these details, like he's in the doctor's office, venting. So yeah, you Fury fans best hope he's playing some magical game, because it ain't looking good. And that's the best, that language we've just gone into some detail there, and that's the best part of it. He then goes on to say, I've packed up and having a rest. I'm burnt out, Done too much. I need a rest mentally, physically, and emotionally. And what the key piece of language there that I picked up on is where he says, I'm burnt out, It's almost like, is endearing the interviewer. I'm burnt out, I'm depressed, I'm just trying to think. It's like he was trying to engage the interviewer or convince the viewers. Not in a desperate way, but in a subtle way. I'm burnt out, Believe me. I'm burnt out, This COVID stuff, this C19 is draining. Trying to ride that bandwagon of trying to ride that bandwagon of the general depression of the last year as such, if that makes sense. The global depression of the last year. I'm burnt out too, That's what I took from that. How can, almost telling the viewers, how can you expect me not to be? That's what I took. You know what I'm saying? I'm burnt out too, And listen, I said a few days ago, when I laugh, it's not really funny. And I hope I am wrong. For the sake of the sport, and for the sake of my own sanity, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he goes in there, and I have to put my hands in the air and say, I was wrong on this one. But every single stage, even removing theory from the conversation, what Top Rank was saying, Eddie Hearn's licky, 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 licky. Top Rank, well, both sides have got to come to an agreement. Oh, and by the way, if we don't agree in 28 days, it's void. Oh, and by the way, yeah, we've signed, but it's only partially done. It's only preliminary or something, some next word of P, I can't remember what it was. And then, to be honest, I got another video coming soon, exclusive leaked video from Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn basically, obviously, watched the YB's video, and he's basically confirmed everything I've said. He's confirmed that Fury's got money, he's confirmed that Fury's hung up about money. He's confirmed that he leaked the signed news in order to tell the fans and put it out there to put pressure on the other side. Eddie Hearn said, you know what, that's what we do here. We want to fight. We're truthful. We always communicate with the fans. So that there was a under the table. That was a follow the white rabbit kind of thing. Yeah, if you man are into QAnal, then you know follow the white rabbit. That's what that was. He was winking to everyone who knows what he meant by that. Eddie Hearn's telling you that by leaking the sign news, it puts pressure on them, and it gets it all out in the open. Which is actually, I don't want to spend too much time going into this because I'm going to do that in its own right, but just think to yourself, why all of a sudden now, after 3 months, is Eddie all of a sudden trying to go public with things? Because he sees an end, he sees it's coming to an end, an abrupt end as well. And from his PR point of view, or from his public image point of view, he doesn't want to be in a situation where he's sat quiet for 4 months, and then it doesn't happen, and it's 50-50, he said, she said. If he comes out now, Eddie, oh, it's great, yep, we've signed, and it don't happen, we've got the leverage now. And slowly, Eddie's leaking out bits of information. Like today, Eddie said, oh, well, I'm hopeful we can get it done, but if Fury's not happy with the money, then it might not get done. So he's gone from 10 out of 10 positive, now he's leaking the truth of what's really going on, in my opinion. And what gives that more credence is the fact that it's not just Eddie Hearn ain't the one who originated the money issues. Fury's the one. John Fury 4 weeks ago said, if we don't get a whole truck of money, we ain't doing nothing. Fury himself, on multiple occasions, has said, I need a whole lot of money in my pocket before I do anything. I've never heard him. Fury himself has been someone who's been anti-money almost. I'll fight you in... oh yes, I'll fight you on the cobbles. Oh, you know, one of them ones. Talking about the cobbles, talking about you gonna do this, gonna do that. For free. I'll fight you for free, I'm a warrior. And now all of a sudden, the biggest fight, and I never understood that. And that's why it doesn't make sense, because it's a duck. Yeah, if it quacks like a duck, and it waddles like a duck, it's a duck. This is what you call a big, bubbly duck. No doubt. There's no confusion here. Never heard the man mention money. Ever. In any of his big fights. And then all of a sudden it comes to the biggest fight with the most prestige, the most money, and it happens every time, same as Wilder. Wilder's no problem fighting anyone, fighting people for peanuts, gets the biggest fight of his life, 10 times, 20 times more than he's ever earned, all of a sudden money's a problem. And the fact we've seen this so many times when it comes to AJ, it's just pattern recognition at this point. But the Fury fans, listen, if Wilder was doing these things, the Fury fans would love it. They'd be riding it. Oh, YB, go on. Did you hear this, YB? Did you hear that, YB? They'd be riding it, sending me links and whatnot. Loving it. Fury's doing the same, and all of a sudden, I've got to believe it's this big ruse. Rouse, whatever that word is, with R, yeah? You want me to believe it's this big R word, rouse. Like he's playing possum or whatever. And if it is, then I'll come on and say I don't know what I'm talking about, but there's too many fishy-lishy signs for me. Way too many. And this was the last straw when he starts talking about, oh, the fight's not signed, I don't know anything about it, I've sent everyone home, on this date, giving dates and then all that information combined with the fact that I've got another video coming, a leaked, exclusive paparazzi snap of Fury in his dining room, looking bulbous, looking 3D, yeah, looking smooth, looking like Gears of War body, just big and blocky. So it all adds up. He does look, I'm sorry people, he looks like he ain't been training as well. I'm afraid to say, I really am. Go watch the video on his own Instagram. And that's another thing. I don't think that's by chance either. I don't think it's by chance that he deleted all of his pictures and he's including all the ones where he's big and bubbly. What do you think that's for? He knows that people like myself and whoever else track these things. Look at Andy Ruiz, especially after the Andy Ruiz saga, where weight and whatnot was current. All of a sudden he deletes all of his pictures and leaves the one up there, the least flattering and most recent. This wasn't a picture from months ago. This was February 12th, February 15th. And he's clearly nowhere near fighting shape. And now he's telling us he hasn't been training since November. I believe it. I really am. I'm sorry. Because you've got to remember, he was training throughout the C19. So it makes sense now that he did send him home in November. Because he would have been in shape until November, sent him home, and Fury looks, scarily enough, Fury looks just like someone, or for him, he looks like he's had about 2 months off, 3 months off, which is exactly what the picture looks like. Now obviously we don't know the scale weight, but regardless, it's just too many red flags. Way too many red flags, especially now Eddie Hearn's co-signed what I'm saying as well. That's just completely game, set and match. But before I saw Eddie Hearn's interview today, obviously Fury's thing on Monday came out, and this is him telling me, it's not been signed, and I'm psychologically knackered and emotionally knackered, and then begging the fans to believe him. You leveraging that C19 depression that the Globe's gone through, leveraging it and using it as using that as a cover. How can you possibly expect me not to be knackered? How can you expect me not to be physically and emotionally drained? We've just gone through this thing. And I can already see how the scene's been set, because he can now say, the real reason why I didn't fight, he'll probably make a book about it, if truth be known. He'll release a book. How I was mentally struck by X problem, X mental problem. The reason Wilder 3 didn't happen, because I was struck by this, and that's why the AJ fight don't happen. I can see something like that coming along, especially after we've heard about this stuff. I need a rest. And what do you mean you need a rest? You've been doing nothing for a year, sitting at home. That's probably the problem. You need to do more, get out there and get stuck in, but you need a rest. And which one is it, by the way? More contradictions. Fury tells us that, regardless of AJ, all of a sudden, when AJ's not on the cards, that's another thing. See how his behaviour changes. When AJ's not on the cards, all of a sudden, all of his energy comes back. Oh yes. Well, if I'm not fighting AJ, I'm gonna fight twice this year. Proper giving it, going all in as well. All of a sudden, my man who's tired and knackered is booking 2 fights that ain't even talked about yet. Meanwhile, the fight that's in negotiations, he can't show no love and give no positivity. All them years we've heard that, I'll fight AJ for free, I'll do it on the cobbles. If there's ever a time that Fury could be saying, I'll fight AJ on the cobbles for free, to inspire the fans, it would be now. Because this for me isn't sexy, by the way, either. In terms of building a fight, this isn't sexy. This isn't selling. Regardless of trolling, this isn't it. I'm sorry, it ain't. I don't care. Okay, let's say, for example, I am wrong, and Fury is playing a big, long game. Even so, what? That's a really bad strategy, in my opinion. It's weak. What? Half the people don't like. Half the people genuinely. You can look at the reaction. Half the people genuinely have flipped boats now and think that Fury don't want it. So you've turned them off. A certain amount of people have got sick of it all. At the appearance, it's not going to happen, and they're sick of the back and forth. And then other people are thinking. Obviously, the Fury fans stay licking. The Fury fans stay reverse cowgirling, but other fans are saying, This ain't turning me on. I want to hear that AJ's stiff. I want to hear that AJ's a blown up bodybuilder, like my little brother. I'm going to bash him around the place. That's what we want to hear. AJ's just like Tommy, big stiff weightlifter. And I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? That's what we want to hear. That's sexy. That turns people on. Hearing all this, I'm broken and I'm not been trained. No, that's not a look, in my opinion. I don't know, mate. Of course, you Fury fans will find some way that it's really great and really deep. It's really not. It's not the look for such a big fight, or for this fight as well, especially given all of the bravado in the past. It's not like Fury's been short of words before. Now it comes to it, the one time like you've got a full license to go WWE as it pertains to AJ, all of a sudden you ain't got no word, you ain't got nothing to say other than the odd throwaway comment. Oh well, I'll beat AJ on 12 Stellars. That's all you got. Giving us the John Jones excuse, giving us the John Jones built-in excuse. That's what we'll hear. And I think that's probably, actually, I hadn't planned to say this, but I think that's probably what's going on here, to be fair. I think Fury psychologically is compromised, and we know that these top athletes, it's not new. John Jones himself, who is similar to Fury in as much as psychological issues, and in terms of being a good champion, as in successful champion, John Jones came out and said, yep, I used to take narcotics because it meant that if I lost, I wouldn't feel as insecure. I'd have an built-in excuse. Well, look at Fury now. I'm eating. John Jones would literally would literally damage himself to give himself an excuse. He'd go drinking the week before, get completely messed up. So look at Fury now. Would it be a shock if Fury was actually not training? Because there's obviously levels to this, and in my opinion, I think Fury's more psychologically unstable than John Jones is. And I think there's evidence of that as well. So if John Jones was getting drunk the week before, would it be a shock that Fury's just completely shut training down? And he's just going to go in there on a whim? And if he does lose, he can say, well, I was drinking and I was doing this, that, the other anyway. I don't know, you man can decide, but either way, this ain't a good look. That's for sure.